Yada da 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 da. Yada da 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 da. Yada da da. Yada. Yada da da da. Yada da 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 da. Yada da 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 da. Ya ya da da ya da da ya ya da 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 ya da 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 dum ya ba ba ya ya da 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 ya da 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 ay 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 da 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 dum ya ba ba ya ya ya. Boker Tov, good morning. Arriving here a little bit late this morning. Ellis had a delayed opening, and just the moving parts of this morning, 10:30, just worked better. So if you're watching live or you're watching late at a time, know that we're here together to be together in community, to learn a little bit, to connect a little bit, to think about maybe something that might spark your spirit. And so I've been thinking about the center of the world. There is something in Psalm 126, verse 1 and 2. I'm not sure if it's 2a or just plain 2. It comes from the psalm that is sung before Birkat Hamazon, the grace after meal, on Shabbat and on holidays. And it says, when God returns us to Zion, we lived as in a dream. Then our mouths were filled with laughter and our tongues flowed with song. And so in thinking about this week's Parsha, thinking about the last three plagues, that, final one, which is the death of the firstborn Egyptian males, the realization of sacrifice and blood that had to be put on the doorpost to say, like, hey, wait, there's a Jew here, pass over this house. And the last three plagues that were before the freedom of the people. And this Psalm 126, 1 and 2, verse 1 and 2, reflects the feeling of someone who has returned from exile. And so while there are many captives that have been returned, all of them are not yet here. And so there was a teaching, and also Reb Zalman Schachter Shalomi of blessed memory would say that there needed to be foreplay, that sometimes you needed to pray before the thing actually happened. And so you pray for what will be, you pray for the hope that is, or the possibility that it could be. And so this psalm might reflect the feeling of jubilation, the feeling of excitement, the feeling of satisfaction in heart and spirit, in stomach, literally. But that we were filled, so filled, overflowing, like we were coming out of a dream. That we left Mitzrayim, we left the small and narrow places, and here we found ourselves in the expanse of promise. A dream, a true dream. But the world that we're living in this moment is, of course, not that. And in very many ways feels like we are in Mitzrayim, feels like we are in Egypt, feels like we are in a place imprisoned. And we long for a time when our mouths are full with laughter, and we long for a time where our tongues are filled with song. But this psalm specifically references the return of the Jewish people from Israel to Israel, from Egypt to Israel. The idea that they went from here to here. And so when we're thinking about the times that we're in now, we feel constricted, we feel choked, we feel unseen and unheard. But in Psalm 126, 1, when God returned us to Zion, We lived as in a dream. We pray for that dream in these moments because this is referencing that return of the Jewish people to Israel from Babylonian exile. But it's also about the feeling of returning home after being away, especially for an extended period of time. And so, whenever we're fortunate to be anywhere, be it in Israel, be it on a big vacation, be it just away from the everyday monotony of what is the world, there's this feeling of comfort and tranquility. For many people that go to Israel for that feeling, or have had the opportunity, have been fortunate enough to have received moments of um, the whole spiritual essence of what it is to be in Israel, knows that there's an undescribable, indescribable feeling of having your feet on that soil. And so many of us can, consider Jerusalem to be the center of the world, the center of the Jewish people, the center in which so many people have returned to Israel as missionaries, mission work, to do the work of the people that are no longer, to do the work of the people that have fled the country, to do the work in listening, in hopes of healing those that have been returned, in hopes of listening to the stories of those families who are still waiting for their loved ones to return. As the image of Psalm 126, 1 and 2, the image of living in a dream, when our mouths are filled with laughter and our tongues are flowing with song, is one that introduces the Birkat Hamazon, the grace after meals, the feeling of satisfaction that we have eaten this abundance, that we're not starving, that we feel like we're living a dream. So many of us may not feel that we're living a dream, but tradition teaches that so simplistically, just having a meal, and we're thinking about the captives, we're thinking about just the destruction that has happened to our people, we're thinking about the anxiety and the fear that plagues our people. For some people, they're anxious eaters, and other people, there are, when you're anxious or fearful, you can't eat at all. So we think of that feeling, many of us are attached to food in different ways. But that feeling of going to an amazing restaurant with good company, that feeling to say that we're satisfied, and we long for that feeling for our people, for our siblings. Imagine those. We don't even know if they've eaten. We don't even know if they're alive. We don't even know their mental health, their physical health, their spiritual health. We know nothing. It's been said that the land of Israel is a place where heaven and earth meet. They touch. We can only pray that the peace of heaven will touch the land, our holy land, the land of Israel. What better a feeling to say that there could be peace in a moment, that there could be safe return, that there could be abundance of food, that our mouths can be filled with laughter overflowing as if we lived a dream. Our relationship with God, for many of us in this time, is like we're questioning more now than ever, but we've also come closer together, united as a people, even when sometimes we feel distant and abandoned. Upon realizing that return of our people to their land is like a rewarded relationship. It's a renewed relationship. May there be abundant song. May there be an overwhelming feeling as we pray, dear God, bring them home now. Wherever we journey, whenever we travel, we always say, oh, I miss it. It's so good, but it feels so good to be home. We long for a time when all of our siblings can feel home. The knowledge, the feeling, the hope, the promise that awaits them. Dear God, may it be in our time. For we are one human family, one heart of abundant love. We love you. We look forward to seeing you real soon, like tomorrow morning, and then Friday morning, and Friday night we're in person, 7:30, and then Saturday morning, a 10 o'clock start for our service will be the bat mitzvah of Marley Meyerhoff. And so we hope that you will join us for that on Saturday morning at 10. We hope to see you in person on Friday, but until then, think about a time when we can be overflowing with joy and with laughter. And until then, we hold on to the hope. Am Yisrael, Am Yisrael, Am Yisrael Chai. Am Yisrael, Am Yisrael, Am Yisrael Chai. Am Yisrael, Am Yisrael, Am Yisrael Chai. Am Yisrael, Am Yisrael, Am Yisrael Chai.